Afternoon, welcome to Chat UTD. I haven't done a video since before the Bodo Glimt game, so there's a lot to catch up on. I'm going to start with the reaction to the Everton game because it's fresher in my mind, and to be honest, I didn't get to see the Bodo Glimt game, so I'm only going off brief highlights that I've seen and just picking up a vibe of what other people have sort of said about it. So I haven't got a particularly informed opinion on that, so we'll focus mainly on the Everton game and obviously also just how it's all settling in with Amorim and some features of his management style so far. So first and foremost, a 4-0 win in the Premier League is not to be sniffed at. We don't score enough goals, so to score four is brilliant. Xerxes and Rashford are two players for very different reasons, with big question marks over their name, and they both scored two. It was a game probably of moments. I don't think it was a masterclass. Everton had periods of the game where they looked, particularly at the start, where they looked pretty decent. But the most important thing is that we've picked up another 3 points and we've scored 4 goals. So confidence-wise, that's obviously very good for the team. Just a few features of the game. Xerxes looked very different yesterday. I thought he carried himself. His passing was decisive and confident, which is everything it's not been so far. He's looked very ponderous and laboured and unsure, and just looked massively out of place so far. But some of his passing was exquisite. The pass for Ahmad, when Ahmad missed a good chance pretty early in the game, it's a superb pass. It dissects the defence with one pass, very direct, very confident. The pass for Ahmad in the build up to the third goal just after half time was sensational. He's got his back to goal. He's around the halfway line, and the mechanics of it to pass it from the angle he was at behind him into space for Ahmad was just real finesse and class, real poise to his game. I think him coming deeper and playing that centre forward role, but him being deeper, and then Rashford in particular, but Bruno to some degree as well, as the inside forwards becoming inverted inside forwards, works really well. So he brings you something different to Rasmus, but that means we play a slightly different way with Xerxes to the way we would play under Rasmus, even though it's the same system. There's just those little nuances, those little tweaks. It's good coaching, it's good management, but it's players doing what they've been asked to do as well. And I almost hesitate to say this for fear of someone going, "What? This is ridiculous for you to say this," but and you shouldn't compare player for player and stuff. Some of Xerxes' play yesterday reminded me a bit of Teddy Sheringham, and I am in no way saying that Joshua Xerxes is as good as Teddy Sheringham or will have the impact that Teddy Sheringham had at United or anything like that. Teddy Sheringham was a brilliant player before he came to United, and he actually carried on being a brilliant player after he left. Xerxes is a young kid with it all to prove, but just some of those touches, some of that finesse, some of that poise, some of that class, the way he made it look quite effortless yesterday, which again is everything he's not been so far, just gave me Sheringham vibes and gives me confidence that he's a player worth investing in, because up to yesterday, to be perfectly honest, I'd not seen that. And it's really positive for that. And obviously for him to score 2 goals is really good as well. Does he have the minerals? Does he have the gumption? I don't know. But there's certainly talent there. And it was nice to see that yesterday. On my mate Rashford, the first goal, it's a really, really clever pass from Bruno. Good technique by Rashford, puts it into an area which is very dangerous. But let's face it, really, it's an own goal, isn't it? It's a massive deflection. The keeper's saving that all day long if it doesn't hit the defender. And the second goal, he's hit it straight at the keeper and it's gone through him. But he's scored 2 goals. I know I've caveated that, but he scored 2 goals, and that's what he's in the team to do. I maintain, I think Rashford's finished at United. We can only do what's in front of him. He can only play in the games he's asked to play in, and he can only score goals, and that's what he's done. So, regardless of whether I like him or not, the aim of the game for Man United is that we score more goals than the opposition. And if there's a player who's consistently contributing to that, then that's good for the team, and anything else has to be put to the side. If he goes on and comes off the bench and scores a winner against Arsenal on Wednesday, he's doing his job for the team. So it's really positive. The big negative that stands out actually was followed very quickly by a positive, because Ahmad saved his bacon, but in the build up for the fourth goal, Rashford absolutely bottles out. of a challenge, and Ahmad goes on and wins two 50-50s and goes through Tarkovsky, who's twice his size, to set up the fourth goal. But Rashford bottled it out of the 50-50. As Roy Keane says, leopards and spats. You're not gonna change that in his game. So Amorim's got to decide: can I change that? And if I'm not able to change that, can I put up with that in the team? Because that's fine when you're 3-0 up against Everton, but that'd be whatever the circumstance. But he scored 2 goals, and that's what he's in the team to do. So he scored 3 in his 2 starts under Amorim, having only scored 1 in 11 previously. So statistically, at least, he's made a good start under the new manager. Ahmad, brilliant. Everything I like and I would want in a United player. Tenacious, hungry, no such thing as a lost cause. Selfless, puts it on a plate for other players. The assists yesterday and his involvement in the goals were very simple passes. They're not wow moments, but for example, if you put Garnacho in some of the positions he was in yesterday, he'd probably try and shoot. Ahmad's about the team. Tough character, strong, versatile, humble, hungry. You know, he's just a checklist of everything you'd want in a United player. And the best thing that happened to Ahmad was that Ten Hag got sacked, because Ten Hag didn't fancy him, quite clearly. It's been and gone now with Ten Hag, but I think that is a big red flag as to, you know, if you're a manager who doesn't see something in this kid, then you've got a blind spot, because in particular when we're not flush with fantastic players, he's a standout. I actually think that Pellistri would do really well in this system, but again, unfortunately, that's been and gone. Superb from Ahmad again yesterday. Match-winning performance, really. Super to see. And I'm so glad he's made such a good start under Amorim, because now it means hopefully he's nailed on, and hopefully it means he's going to continue to play week in, week out, and I think hopefully he'll just keep getting better. Excellent. Just to look at Amorim's use of the squad, what stands out for me with Amorim is that he's solution focused and not problem focused. He's quite innovative what he's doing, being very resourceful. So he's blatantly, he said this himself, he's playing a team on one given day, and then he's saying, right, you're just going to train you're not even going to train properly tomorrow, should I say, and the ones that haven't played are going to train intensively for the next few days, in the idea that they're probably going to play the next game. Now, we don't have a squad of huge quality, and certainly in the depth of it. We have numbers, but I don't think we have quality. But he's not making that as an excuse. He wants to see everybody, and he's putting trust in players that they can go in and do what he's asked them to do and apply what the instructions that he's obviously given them in training. And I know they're all fresh and they're all probably hungry to make an impression and stuff, but I think it's really solution focused, and it's great to see. He's not focusing on the challenge of the situation. He's focusing on the opportunity that creates. So many benefits, but 2 that stand out is, 1, he gets to do a recce of everybody because he's changing it regularly and he's having a look, and 2, players are remaining fresh, and you can see the fruits of it. So Rasmus plays on Thursday night, having not started on Sunday, and scores 2 goals and makes another one out of his persistence and pressing, and forces the goalkeeper's mistake. Then he doesn't start on Sunday, and you're thinking, Xerxes up front, not sure about that. Slightly changes the way the team plays, but brings even more out of probably Rashford and Bruno. Scores 2 goals himself. His link play is brilliant, and you think, okay, he's now got 2 goals. Rashford scores 2 goals. Bruno looks confident. Ahmad's playing brilliantly well. Mazraoui is just a machine. De Ligt looks comfortable and solid. You're looking at the team and thinking, he's making a lot of changes, but it's actually benefiting players. And that's something that Ten Hag would never have done. He was more focused on the problems and the solutions, and he just stubbornly just kept picking the same team week in, week out, even though it wasn't working, but then bemoaning the fact that he had injuries and suspensions or players that weren't doing the business, and they picked them again. Now, it won't always be like this. for Amorim. At some point, he'll settle on what he might see as his best team. If you look at the circumstances that he's come into, they're quite challenging circumstances. He's come in November to a team that has had a really poor start to the season and a very poor end to last season, if you forget the FA Cup final. Team that looked lacking in confidence, that hasn't really been coached for the last few years. A team that doesn't run enough, that when they do try and apply themselves, they seem to pick up a lot of injuries. Games every 3 or 4 days, not a lot of time to coach them, and not brilliant depth within the squad. They're really limiting circumstances. But his attitude is, well, I'm going to turn that into an opportunity. And a manager's job is to find solutions. And there's nothing worse than a manager who just sits there and bemoans the problems but doesn't change anything or isn't innovative. And that was one of my big issues with Ten Hag. Amorim's come in and used these circumstances as an opportunity. And forget results and progress in terms of the way we're playing, which all looks decent at the moment. I like the fact that he's solution focused, not problem focused. I'm aware that it's early, he's fresh, he's not been ground down by United yet, and I'm not naive to think that it's going to carry on with us all loving Ruben Amorim. As I said before, in a few months' time, we'll notice his idiosyncrasies, his little personality traits that we don't like, where we'll say, that's typical of Amorim, that's one of his little blind spots, that's one of his weak spots, whatever. That's a given after a period of time. But in these circumstances, rather than sit there and whinge, he's making the best out of it. And as I say, the results that he's getting from it in terms of individual players, we can see it with Rasmus, with Xerxes, with Rashford, with Ahmad, with Bruno, and more besides. So it's a very encouraging start. Arsenal next is a very different test. We've got suspensions to Martinez and Mainu, alluding to what I was talking about just a second ago. Actually, that had been a big problem under Ten Hag. Doesn't feel as big a deal, and that's come from his rotation of the squad. You think, okay, Martinez is a loss without a doubt, but could he put Shaw in at left-sided centre back? I think Shaw could do a super job there if he's physically capable of doing it. Could he do 70 minutes maybe? Maybe he won't choose to start Shaw, but I think that's an option certainly. And again, I don't think Amorim will moan about it. I think he'll just try and find a solution, and that then spreads to the team. Don't give them excuses. Give them solutions. Give them belief. Give them confidence. Okay, this is a bit of a tough break. This is what we're going to do about it. That rubs off on players. Mainu, obviously unavailable. That's a loss without a doubt. So could Casemiro do a Sunday Wednesday alongside Ugarte? Does he bring Bruno back into the centre midfield position like he did against Glimt? That'd be a risk against Arsenal. But do you know what? I feel like I trust him to find a solution, because so far that's what he's given off a vibe that he wants to do and that he can do. I think with Casemiro, we talk about him as if he's 35, 36. I think he's 31 or 32. And at times it looks like his legs are going, but I think it's his physique. He doesn't look like a Premier League footballer. He needs to get leaner. There's two ways of looking at this. You can think like, just use him sparingly and just make sure he's on it when he plays and don't overplay him. Or could you do what Ferguson used to do with Rooney and being like, right, you've come back from pre-season 2 stone overweight, mate. I'm going to flog you until you get lean again. Rooney had a very different engine to Casemiro when he was younger, but is there something in getting fitter and leaner through games? I don't know. Like maybe for Wednesday we might need to play him. I wouldn't put Eriksen in there next to Ugarte. So that's an interesting one. But again, I just want to see us go with the game plan. And if we get beat, we get beat. I just want to see us play and with some confidence and not just be a lame duck waiting to get battered, which is what it would feel like if we were under Ten Hag. Regarding expectations, moving forward in the season, mine remain exactly the same. As I've said, if we can finish top 6 and we can win a trophy, then that's a superb season, in my opinion, from where we've been. And also, you've got to remember as well, we finished 8th last season. And there's not been a huge improvement to the squad. But with some improvement to the squad and a better manager, which I think Amorim certainly for now is, then hopefully it's possible to see that improvement of a couple of places going up a couple of places in the league. But you've got to remember where we were when he came in, and maybe could we have a tilt at a trophy. More important than that is that we know what he's trying to achieve, and that decipherable style of play. We move towards that, and we highlight who can do it and who can't do it. And then, as I've mentioned before, he needs the autonomy to be able to let go of the players that he doesn't think can do it. We could, this is speculative, we could go on a run and at Christmas be 5th, and everyone starts going, right, top 4's on now. Even if that happens, I still think that if we get in the top 6 and win a trophy, we've had a brilliant season, because there'll be ups and downs. We might hit a bit of a run and give a false impression of what we can do, but there'll be bumps in the road. There's no question of that, in my opinion. These lot haven't got it in them to go from now to the end of the season consistently, and I don't expect them to. And we've made a steady start under Amorim. It's positive. Now it's a tough test against Arsenal, so let's see how we can do there. And as I mentioned, I think if we can, top 6 is swimming the channel, in my opinion, regardless of the early. If we get an early surge, and we can get higher up anyway. It's been a good start. Don't think you can really judge too much on the Ipswich game, but then Bodo Glimt and Everton, 2 wins, 2 different types of wins, rotation of the squad, individual players coming in and doing really well. So now for Arsenal. Oh, that's what I was going to say. There was a protest yesterday on ticket prices, and I don't know if it was just ticket prices or also the way that they're doing things with tickets now. It really kind of alienating the common man to be able, and woman, to get tickets, and it's very difficult to transfer tickets over to other people, and it's a nightmare. If you just want to go and watch a game with your kid, it's going to cost you a bomb, and it's going to be a logistical nightmare. So yeah, absolutely, protests are right. I saw a video yesterday with the fans singing Jim Ratcliffe's a C-bomb, just like the Glazers. So Jim Ratcliffe's a C-bomb, and you're like, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily be putting that on the new regime. I think this is probably stuff that's been agreed a long time ago. I think the anger the fans feel needs to squarely be at the door of the Glazers still, because if greed is involved, then they will be behind this 100%. And I'm sure that Ratcliffe has probably said we need to raise money. We need to he probably has agreed with prices going up and whatever. But a price hike was going to happen anyway at United, and I'm not one to stick up for Ineos, but I think labelling the new person the C word is not a great look on United fans' behalf, when they've done next to nothing to try and get the Glazers out. And there's a guy who's come in, okay, he's made some questionable decisions in lots of different ways, but he's been here a year and you're calling him the C word. I think you need to transfer your anger elsewhere. And it's not too far away from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but it's over the pond, because without a shadow of a doubt, they'll have had their part to play in that as well. On that, Glazers out.